The Frozen sisters, Frozen Banshee and Gravechill Killer. What happened to make them want to seek vengeance? We're going to talk about that today. Hey, welcome, I'm Leila. Today's video we're going to be talking about Frozen Banshee and Gravechill Killer, two fantastic rares in Raid Shadow Legends. They're made to pair really well together. When we look at Gravechill's ability, her poisons do increase in percentage when there is poison sensitivity on the target, and we know that Frozen Banshee does land poison sensitivity. So together, they're a pretty strong pair when it comes to decreased defense and poisons. Now, they also do share a story, and they both happen to be part of the Undead faction. So when we look at the lore for the Undead faction as a whole, we see, awakened by the call of the corruption, these ghouls and creatures of the night inhabit the forgotten tombs and dark places of the world and serve as minions to the Dark One. While most are the desecrated carcasses of fallen Talarians, others have lurked in the darkness for centuries, awaiting their time. So you're gonna see in their lore story that they actually do fit this pretty well. So let's check out the lore story for Frozen Banshee and Gravechill Killer and the Talarian Lore Book of Champions. Most folk of Talaria view banshees as heralds of inevitable doom, and they do so with good reason. Universally female, these revenants are known for haunting mortals and driving them insane with blood-chilling shrieks or keening that, sometimes, shatters steel as if it were mere glass. Some even seek to actively harm the living with foul magic or blighted weapons, each victim dragged to the grave, only fanning the banshee's bloodlust further. Whether the Banshee in service of Whirling Frost King was one such spirit before, or if she is a mortal warrior felled in one of the many wars that were waged in the Winterlands, is unknown. But she is unlike what most undead hunters would expect. Rather than withered or ethereal in nature, the Frozen Banshee's body remains untouched by the rot of undeath. Yet it is covered in ice and rime, as if she had lain beneath a glacier for hundreds of years, preserved in her ghostly beauty. This same magic appears to be hers to command, for each strike of her spear brings with it the cold certainty of death. Even those who do not fall find themselves weakened, made vulnerable even as the Banshee's own allies grow stronger. The dead of Talaria are not always a quiet lot. Some have a nasty habit of ignoring the core principles of mortality and walking the earth once more, terrifying the living and sometimes worse. The powers that bring these unfortunate souls back from the afterlife are as varied as the undead themselves. Some may be raised by a necromancer as little more than a shambling, empty shell. Others willingly condemn themselves to this bleak existence for fear of death. The Gravechill Killer is an aptly named abomination of a rather peculiar nature. She was likely a sorceress in the service of Seroth once, perhaps even a necromancer who commanded the undead swarms invading the Winterlands. Whether by blade, by spell, or by her own folly, she was slain and left forgotten beneath the snow. But some malice cannot be tempered by death. When a new onslaught of darkness began, this creature rose from her icy grave, her eyes burning with sorceress power and lust for vengeance. The champions who find themselves facing the Gravechill Killer would do well to beware, for her frozen blade is steeped in venom and is sharp enough to cleave through even the toughest armor. Wow, what a story for these two champs indeed. We have Frozen Banshee, and I love how they kind of add in here how even her appearance is she looks like she was frozen in ice, that she doesn't exactly look like what most hunters and maybe even assassins you would consider to look like. She's actually really pretty when you look at her physical attributes, but again, very lethal. And I think that fits in very, very nice with the whole Banshee name of it, is something that would probably lure other champions or possibly lure others to their death. And then we have Gravechill Killer, who's her sister, and I love how they say how she was aptly named based on what she does as well too, and the fact that they're saying her dagger is steeped in poison because that's one of her abilities, like we talked about, is she applies extra poison damage based on having poison sensitivity, which her sister is the one that applies it. So together we see that they work really well in Raid Shadow Legends, and I like that their story is very It's very synergistic, it's very much together, and it does also incorporate Werlem Frostking, which he has a whole other story as well, which I'll have that up here top on the right if you want to check out his story for how Werlem became a Night Revenant. But yet, how does this all work together? Somebody that's part of the Night Revenant working with the undead, that's in a whole other story. Hey, if you enjoyed this, check out some of these playlists up top here on the right.